All right. With Andrew Esquire.
Hasan has slandered me, committed some defamation
Really?
in response to my reaction to what was going on with Twitch and the situation with Twitch. So today I'm going to respond to that publicly, clear up some of that misinformation, and also talk about some hot water that Hasan may be in legally in the state of California. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is the legal mindset we teach you to be your own judge. So typically
I like that saying, teaching to be your own judge. I like that a lot.
Policy overall with defamation, with people that engage in defamation, is just to ignore it, is to pass it by, is to really pay it no mind, particularly if they're smaller channels and smaller people, really to ignore that at large. However, when a channel of 1.7 million people spreads false information about yourself, clearly not having watched a single one of my videos or really knowing much about me, it seems, other than what the most deranged antis might try to cook up, there is some need to respond to that. And also, there is a need to bring up some very real legal trouble that Mr. Piker may be in regarding California, especially as some individuals look to come against him. So first of all, we're going to start by reviewing the defamation itself. And this does come in the form of a video, which I have right here for you guys. And this is Hasan kind of responding to his chat and talking about me and why he's not going to review my videos. And I just want to start out by saying I love the fact that you're going to see immediately how he jumps to ad hominem, because ad hominem or personal attacks, when used as a debate strategy or when used to rebuke someone, actually represent a concession. That actually means you are incapable of making a legal argument or an objective argument or an informed argument or in any sort of educational argument. You're simply trying to discredit someone personally to get around the fact you lack the...
I wonder what Hasan's fans think when he gets destroyed by a lawyer.
Capacity to actually argue. And so I actually don't take offense to that. I'm very used to it, having been on the internet for years now. So we'll get into this video and the thoughts by Mr. Piker.
Dude, there's something so funny about people being like, dog, have you seen the legal mindset video about you? Dude, if I were to cover every Rumble lawyer, fake lawyer that actually is...
So let's stop right there. Okay, so Rumble lawyer is very interesting. And I think he may mention Rumble again. While I do have, I guess, still a Rumble account, I haven't uploaded it to years. I don't stream on Rumble. I only stream on YouTube, primarily as a major platform. I've tried the others. I don't like them. Rumble, just as a comment, initially offered a very good package contractually to stream on their platform, good advertising packages. That fell off way back towards the COVID days. So yeah, that's kind of a weird thing. Now, fake lawyer is interesting, and I want to throw out here that that's possibly the most defamatory thing. Now, I want to give Mr. Piker some credit here, because perhaps he knows nothing about me or knows nothing about the law. Well, clearly he knows nothing about the law or what words mean. A lawyer is anybody with a law degree, whether or not they're licensed and practice law. So anybody who's gone to law school is indeed a lawyer. Now, attorney is someone above lawyer. You could say that word is perhaps not interchangeable, but similarly related insofar as they are not only a lawyer, not only do they have a law degree, but an attorney has to be licensed to practice in their state. I'm licensed to practice in the state of Florida. So I am both a lawyer and an attorney above that. Wow. So thinking about that...
Hasan, he's a lawyer and an attorney. You have lost it, mate. You've cooked it here.
Logically...
And I'll tell you why it's a bad thing to do. Because if you're trying to represent an honorable, authentic style of presenting here, then you need to be able to give to your audience that these are real people who have real jobs, unless Hasan's mission is just to be pure propaganda and no matter what have his audience brainwashed. So we call this brainwashing. So most of the time Hasan's audience, most of them must be brainwashed basically all the time. So he has a brainwashing audience.
He has a little bit of education. all attorneys are lawyers, but not all lawyers are attorneys. So there you go, Mr. Piker. That's the language. So that statement is indeed false, right? That I am a quote unquote fake lawyer because I indeed possess a law degree from the University of Florida. So that statement in the future would be defamatory. And with Mr. Piker, we do have to remember, and with myself and other figures, is that we are all public figures. So we follow the New York Times versus Sullivan standard. We have a higher standard for defamation than the normal private individual. So now that that's been clarified publicly for Mr. Piker, and that he will well know that that information is false and defamatory, to continue to do so would perhaps incur liability on the part of Mr. Piker. But let's continue to see what he has to say about me. This is fun.
There you go.
Like a fucking right-wing freak that spends most of their time talking about like trans people.
So that's very interesting. So I will say this. Most of my time talking about trans people, the issues I have been covering lately have been the Ethan Klein lawsuit, have been Johnny Somali, have been Vitali. Now, unless you are counting something with Somali or Vitali as a trans issue, which I would struggle to understand how that would fit in, then yeah, that's not at all what my content has been about for the past years. Damn. So very interesting thing.
Hasan, but this just elevates the further brainwashing of his audience. So if you're a Hasan fan, it is most likely Hasan is trying to always feed you false information to brainwash you, basically.
Also, I keep politics out of my streams, and it's particularly over the last year. 6 months, definitely last 6 months and a year, I have endeavored to keep my streams as objective and educational, and make it a environment where everybody is welcome. Even people who like Hasan Piker are welcome in my chat, so long as they are civil, so long as they keep the conversation from violating the terms of service of the platform, because I indeed do care about abiding by the terms of service of the platform. That is, you are welcome in my chat, whether you're right, left, center, whether you're apolitical, whether you don't care about politics. It doesn't matter at all to me. I care about the law and educating people on the law. That's the core of my channel. So let's continue.
I would lose my mind. I would have no time to cover anything else. I get it. A lot of you are drama perverts, okay? And you nut when you think about the prospect of drama. But I'm not.
I will say, I actually do not like drama. And in fact, on my channel, I try to avoid drama. In fact, even in carrying out my behaviors, I try to make sure that I am focusing more on the legal aspects of things rather than the dramatic elements, the interpersonal problems, the stuff that people did. I try to focus on the legal elements of a story. Now, sometimes to get to the legal elements, you have to give background, you have to give context, because things don't make sense in context, without context. However, yes, I would agree with Hasan that I don't like drama, but what Hasan tends to define as drama, and what it appears he's defining as drama, is anything that disagrees with the things he's doing. So by somebody saying what you are doing is objectively risking lawsuits, it's objectively wrong, or for example, saying that, hey, your orbiters, Denims and Frogan, they're going to lose under copyright infringement. Here's the explanation of the law. Apparently, that's drama, to objectively educate people on the law. That's a new definition of drama to me. And I don't know what you guys think, chat.
Going to pay any mind or any attention to some fucking psychotic MAGA lawyer, not a real lawyer, but a passport bro.
So, okay, that's real interesting. Once again, he repeats.
Psychotic MAGA lawyer. It's not true. He literally has a law degree and he's an attorney. It's not true, Hasan. Stop lying to your followers. It's not fair on them.
The defamation, saying I'm not a real lawyer, which is indeed wrong. And it's interesting, and MAGA, of course, don't bring up politics. That I've never talked about that at all recently at all. But beyond that, passport bro is interesting. Because the definition of a passport bro is typically someone that would visit a location for a short period purely for sexual purposes. And for anybody who knows anything about me, I'm a long-term resident of several countries in Asia. I've been a resident of the Republic of South Korea, the Kingdom of Thailand, the Philippines, and Japan. These are all wonderful, amazing countries, and I do help people obtain legal visas and legal residence long term in these countries because they appreciate the culture, the lifestyle, the quality of life, the peace, the safety, the tranquility. These are amazing things about living in Asia. And another amazing thing is that, unlike America, and this may be surprising to Hasan, it is not as easy to get away with being an illegal migrant to these countries. So if you try to illegally migrate to Japan or Korea, very good luck to you, sir, because likely you will end up in the cell next to Johnny Somali, aka Ramzi Khalid Ismail, if you try that in Korea. It's not going to go well for you. So I would insist that perhaps the only person that perhaps between the two of us would be a passport bro is the individual who visited Berlin solely for the purpose of going to a brothel. But that's neither here nor there. Let's continue.
Who offers fucking
He's cooking you. So Hasan is trying to say, oh, this lawyer guy is a passport bro, and like he gets people passports so they can go marry like an Asian lady or like a lady, you know, find an Asian wife basically. Because what happens, a lot of men don't want to be with Western women anymore because they're basically, you know, not traditional, and men typically want traditional women, so they may go to like places like in Asia where women are still traditional because they're not being brainwashed by, you know, third world feminism and all that stuff. So it's a choice, but I don't think this lawyer is doing that type of law. I think he's mostly focused on people who want to live interstate or overseas for particular purposes. So it's a bit different. So who knows? It really depends on what's happening here. So, you know, we have to be aware of that, because if it's wrong information and Hasan is just feeding his followers more wrong information, and it just goes further down that brainwashing angle that Hasan likes to go down, which is it's not the right thing to do.
Courses on becoming a passport bro who primarily fucking streams on Rumble.
Neither one of those things are true. I do not have a single course on becoming a passport bro, and I do not primarily stream on Rumble. I only stream on YouTube. So, yeah, there we go.
There you go. So he's lying again.
Why do you guys come in here and ask for this stuff? It's never going to happen.
And that's the great point. I'm going to leave it right there. It's never going to happen because Hasan lacks the capacity to actually address real issues and to actually respond to legal or objective arguments, because he's incapable of doing that. Not only because he's not a lawyer, even a non-lawyer can make an argument, can make a policy position, can say this should be this way for XYZ, but because he needs to discredit others by ad hominem in order to try to win an intellectual argument. And frankly, that's at the lowest level of argumentation. But one thing he really can't argue with is the law. And in fact, there's a California law, which was pointed out by a California lawyer friend of mine, where that shows that he may have violated this statute, 653.2. involving electronic cyber harassment. So this is the statute which reads, every person who with the intent to place another in reasonable fear of his safety. So if you have the intention to scare somebody else, to place them in fear of their safety or the safety of that person's family by means of an electronic communication device, a computer or a cell phone, and without the consent of the other person, and for the purpose of imminently causing that other person unwanted physical contact, injury, or harassment by a third party, electronically distributes, publishes, emails, hyperlinks, or makes available for downloading personal identifying information, including but limited to a digital image of that other person, or an electronic message of a harassing nature about that other person, which would be likely to incite or produce that unlawful action. So he put out that photo, and he engaged in those actions with the intent to instill fear in that other individual. So that individual could look into contacting California law enforcement, could look into that pertaining to Hasan, and take action thereby. Very interesting and something for him to worry about, but of course, only if he addresses.
Yeah, I'm surprised Hasan doesn't get in more trouble, honestly, legally speaking, but I guess it does cost money. Unless you find lawyers who are willing to go out of their way to pursue people, like Hasan, for example, then most people aren't going to go down that road. They're going to stick to just, oh yeah, I'm not going to bother because it's too scary and it's going to cost too much money. Also, the money is the biggest thing. When you want to sue someone, it costs a lot of money. So, That's a big
the
thing.
real issues. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next one.
I'm going to say thank you, Legal Mindset, for the video, and I'll say, yes, Hasan, it's more just Legal Mindset kind of, he's being the bigger person here. He's kind of protecting his reputation against Hasan, because Hasan is telling his followers things that are false about this man. This man has a degree in, a college degree in law, he's an attorney, and he travels the world doing legal stuff. So he's a proper lawyer, and yes, he happens to be on the YouTube space, but it's just it's not a nice thing to do, which sounds a bit corny, but you don't go ahead and do what Hasan's doing if you want to get your way. It just makes Hasan look weak, and we're trying to get Hasan to become a better person. Really, that's what we all want, don't we?